began like a thunderclap, sudden, bold, and impossible to ignore. The United States, under the leadership of President Donald Trump, has officially imposed a blanket tariff of 25% on all steel and aluminum imports. No country was spared, no exemptions granted. From close allies to longtime trading partners, everyone was hit. The move sent shockwaves through global markets and triggered an immediate response. The European Union, one of America's largest trading allies, didn't hold back. Brussels announced it would strike back with counter tariffs worth $28 billion, targeting a wide range of U.S. goods starting next month. This wasn't just about economics anymore. This was turning into a full-blown international trade war. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen didn't mince her words. Standing at the podium with the world watching, she declared, "High tariffs are in no one's interest. The countermeasures we take today are strong but proportionate. If the U.S. applies tariffs worth $28 billion, we will respond with 26 billion euros in kind." But Europe wasn't the only region in turmoil. Australia's Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, was quick to call out the decision, branding it entirely unjustified. He reminded Washington of the decades-long friendship between the two nations, a bond built over 70 years of economic cooperation. That, he said, was being undermined in a single sweeping move. Meanwhile, in London, there was visible frustration, but also caution. UK Trade Minister Jonathan Reynolds voiced his disappointment, though the word itself felt far too mild. Behind closed doors, British officials were reeling. Prime Minister Keir Starmer had personally spoken to Donald Trump just days earlier, urging the U.S. president to spare the UK. But the plea fell on deaf ears. Our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeman, broke it down. The UK's efforts didn't work, but unlike the EU, Britain has chosen not to retaliate, at least for now. The hope is to avoid jeopardizing delicate negotiations for a future UK-US trade deal, a deal Trump appeared open to just weeks ago. So why not fight back? Why stay silent in the face of economic aggression? Because this isn't just about tariffs. It's about strategy. It's about diplomacy in a world where every word, every move could tip the balance. And Britain, hoping to keep the fragile relationship with the U.S. intact, is betting on patience over provocation. But this gamble comes with risks. How long can UK businesses bear the cost? How long before political pressure at home forces a change in course? In the steel towns of northern England and the industrial heartlands of Europe, the effects are already being felt. Mark Ashdown, our business correspondent, explains, the UK steel industry is highly specialized. They produce materials used in U.S. Navy submarines and advanced aerospace systems, products not easily sourced elsewhere. So while they're being hit, they know America may not be able to replace them overnight. There's quiet confidence that reason will eventually prevail. But globally, tensions are mounting. The U.S. is the largest steel importer in the world, and major exporters like Canada, Brazil, and Mexico are bracing for impact. Canada alone sent over 6 million tons of steel to the U.S. last year. Brazil and Mexico followed close behind. These are not figures that can be reshuffled with the flick of a pen, and the chaos is spreading. In just 24 hours, the Trump administration ramped up the Canadian tariff from 5% to 50% before scaling it back to 25%. This volatility is leaving world leaders and industries scrambling to keep up. But here's the real twist. These tariffs aren't paid by foreign companies. They're paid by American importers. U.S. businesses will shoulder the cost. Prices will rise. Consumers will feel it. And still, the political message is clear. America first at any cost. As the dust settles, the world watches, uncertain of what comes next. Will diplomacy win out? Or are we watching the first sparks of a wider economic conflict? One thing's for sure. This is no longer just about steel and aluminum. It's about power, pride, and the precarious balance of global trade. And if the past 48 hours are any sign, this story is far from over. Do you think the global backlash against these tariffs will force the U.S. to reconsider? Should countries like the UK retaliate? Or is staying calm the smarter move? Are these tariffs a necessary step to protect American industry, or a dangerous gamble with international relationships? How would you feel if your country was hit with these tariffs? Fight back or negotiate? Do you believe trade wars ever truly have winners? or do they just create new problems? What long-term impact do you think this will have on global trade and diplomacy? Could this be the beginning of a larger shift in global alliances and economic power? If you were advising your country's leader right now, what would you tell them to do next? I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What should world leaders do now? Let's get the conversation going.